Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Webheads podcast. I'm your host, Demarco, or co-host, I should say, and we got my other co-host here, my brother, Steven. Why don't you give him a hello?
Hey guys, what's going on this week?
And thanks for coming again to listen to our show and, learning more about comic books and, well, I should say Marvel comic characters more specifically. But yeah, thanks for listening and thank you guys for giving us that boost when we first dropped our episodes and listening. I think we should be on episode 3 just came out, right?
Yeah, episode 3 just came out last Friday. We're getting some pretty decent numbers. So again, thank you guys for spending your time listening to us, wherever you are listening to us. We really greatly appreciate it. And yeah, like my brother said, we're just trying to get more people into comics, have some people to go through all the stuff with, go back and forth on all of it, and just have some fun with it. Because a lot of people don't realize how comical these things can be sometimes.
Yeah. There's sometimes you think you're reading a serious issue, and then all of a sudden a guy in a trench coat and a brown fedora walk in, and you think that's not that scary. It's not a good disguise for somebody. I don't know why they think brown trench coat and fedora is still a reasonable disguise these days.
And then he's just a stone cold murderer.
Yeah. And they're usually wearing their regular costume under it. So it's not even really they're just layered up.
Yeah, I've read some comics before, even some Spider-Man stuff where he has his suit on under his regular clothes.
Yeah.
And it's I really hope it's a cold day for you. Because I can't imagine that's going to be a very breathable fabric.
Yeah.
And even if it is, just having all that under your regular clothes, nah.
Yeah. I could only imagine the suit either has to be really thin or it's just really uncomfortable for him to move around with 2 layers of clothes on.
Yeah, that's like when we were in middle school and high school and kids used to wear their basketball shorts or their PE clothes under their regular clothes.
Oh yeah.
And it's it doesn't you're gonna sweat in that stuff. or you sweated in that stuff yesterday and you threw it back on to wear under your clothes today. Just it's okay if you don't have a locker, we can share.
Yeah, I guess they were just trying to be prepared for the weather that day, whether it's hot or cold.
It's are you just trying to be prepared just in case somebody says, "Oh, we have an emergency baseball game today"?
Well, you guys are in luck because I'm wearing my shorts today, and then they rip their pants off.
We have an emergency soccer game down on the field. We need help.
Only people wearing basketball shorts, though. No one else.
Nothing else. Just get down on the field. Hurry. The other school from down the road is here.
Yeah, that person just I knew this day would come. This is why I do it.
Yeah, they rip off their track pants in the classroom. Sorry, teach. I'm not going to be able to finish this class off.
See, no, that's even more weird. Track pants and basketball shorts, because that material is already thick on its own.
Yeah.
So now you're just
so many people
extra.
did it.
I never seen them do track pants. I usually just seen them wear jeans with shorts.
Yeah, there's a certain group of people in the area that we grew up in that insisted on wearing their PE shorts under a set of soccer pants. And then
That's
every
weird.
other normal person, I guess somewhat normal person, was wearing their gym shorts under their jeans. It was a crazy time.
Crazy time, crazy people.
Yes. And I think that's also kind of a perfect segue into what I was reading this week.
Good segue, because I was going to say that would be a good segue.
See? I was reading Taskmaster, the 2020 run of Taskmaster. It's basically just... so Maria Hill, leader of... I'm not going to give you guys that because I completely forgot to write it down and I don't remember and want to say the wrong thing. But Maria Hill was killed and the whole world thinks that Taskmaster is the one who killed her. So now he has Black Widow on the hunt for him, and Nick Fury is the only one who believes that it wasn't him who killed Maria. And in order to clear his name, he needs Nick's help, and Nick needs his help to help him retrieve a project that she was working on before she died in order to get the kinesic signatures from Phil Coulson, Okoye, and NIS Tiger Division Director Ami Han. And for those of you who don't know what a kinesic signature is, it just means their body movements and gestures regarded as a nonverbal communication. Yes, I took that straight from dictionary.com.
Yeah, I was about to say, I feel like you had to look that up.
I did, because I didn't know anything about it. This is a very... I thought it was a hilarious little limited run of this comic. Taskmaster is hilarious in this. He's just talking crap to everybody he sees, and he's not taking himself very seriously at all. Like it kind of gives off like Thor Ragnarok vibes, where it's just like, yes, we have a serious thing going on, but like the whole, like, obviously the character is not taking himself too seriously.
Yeah.
He uses Taskmaster ends up using some bootleg pimp articles that he can't control very well. So like there's no actual time limit on how long he can stay small. He just has to hope that it doesn't happen. And then he's super small at one point. He's in like an air vent in a building. And then he's like, I got to hurry up and get out of here before these pimp articles go. And I just get bigger. And then out of nowhere, like, he just starts growing in the air duct. And, he tries to run as fast as he can to get out. And then it doesn't happen. So he just falls through the roof, and then they figure out that he was in the building, and it just goes nuts from there.
I just imagine you reading this silently, and then you just like bust out laughing. And
Fariel has been looking at me very weird the past couple of days. But
you're just laughing, and you look at it and you're like, this guy. You're just pointing at the
this guy. I don't know what it is about this skull-faced person, but he's killing me right now.
It sounds like a very different take than the Taskmaster we got in Black Widow.
Yeah, it's I started this series before I had seen Black Widow, and I just came back to it to finish it now. And I didn't think the one in the movie was going to be cracking jokes the whole time.
Yeah, but I don't think anybody did.
No, but from all of the previous things I have read of Taskmaster before, like I didn't see anything funny about anything that he was doing, like ever. So like this is just like a complete switch. But it kind of like I'm always on Marvel Unlimited, like searching for like funny stuff to read, because a lot of the stuff that we go through is either just long and tedious to read through, or it's just like some of it's really serious. So I just try to find anything funny. But this falls into kind of like, I think I told you before that I was reading Hellcat.
Yeah.
A couple years ago. That's the Kate Leth run of Hellcat, and then the 2016 Howard the Duck run. That one was pretty funny too. And yeah, it's just a really good. At one point in the comic, Taskmaster decides that he has to implement a no Nazi clause because he took a job from Baron Zemo that just almost got him killed by the Punisher, and he just wasn't having it anymore. And then just to end off that little part, the one thing that they brought up in the comic that I never would have ever thought of when I think of Taskmaster is that he's an internationally ranked competitive ballroom dancer. And I just never thought about the fact that he can just imitate anybody that he sees. So
Yeah.
first he ended up using his the perfect imitation to become a ballroom dancer.
I feel like that's something I would do if I had that power. Like, I would use it for, to make money or something, but I'd also just kind of mess around one day and just do something that's kind of out of, like, the norm.
Yeah, I feel like I would probably do it to, like finesse my way into, like, some major league sports team.
Yeah.
It's like, just sitting at home watching, like, nonstop, like, highlight reels of like all the best like players, and then just go out and be like a 40-year-old rookie.
Yeah, I just learned. I'd watch a bunch of quarterback videos and I'm a 5'5" quarterback, like throwing like
yeah, I can't see
yards.
over my lineman at all.
Yeah, and I never get hit.
Yeah, so that's what I was reading past week. Was there anything that you read?
This week I haven't read much. I have been reading Star Wars. I've been reading the Star Wars series. I'm still on the first run of that. I know they just recently relaunched it, maybe about a year ago. So they started over from that. So I haven't gotten to that yet. I'm still reading that one. I haven't gotten around to read Darth Vader yet, but that one's pretty good. It's going to right now what's happening is Darth Vader's finding out if... Spoilers if you haven't seen whatchamacallit, Rise of Skywalker. But Palpatine returns.
It's been like 2 years also.
And if anybody's questioning why I'm talking about Star Wars right now, Star Wars is owned by Disney, Marvel's owned by Disney, therefore Marvel just makes Star Wars comics. So it still is on the app that we use, so I'm going to use this time to talk about it. But yeah, Darth Vader is finding out about Palpatine's plan on Exegol and building the fleet and basically the whole contingency plan if he were to die. And Uchi, the bounty hunter they're looking for, and they find a ship and everything. That guy's in it. He kind of reminds me of Taskmaster, and how you were kind of explaining. He's like a serious like mercenary, but he kind of gets himself into some situations that are kind of funny that you wouldn't think would be there. What else am I reading? I'm still reading Immortal Hulk, so that one's pretty good. If you haven't read that one, it's really cool to see like what they're doing with it, and it's kind of hard for me to understand some of the concepts that they're talking about, but I still enjoy the fact that we're kind of getting these sort of different Hulks that are coming into it, and different people from the Hulk's life who are also super strong as well.
Yeah, I started that one a while ago, but when I had first started it, they hadn't had all the issues on Marvel Unlimited.
Yeah.
So I had stopped, and I was like, oh, I'll just wait until we get wait a while until we get a big chunk on there, then I'll get back to it. But I haven't gone back. I haven't started any of those Star Wars ones either.
It's interesting to read those just because it's like what happened to the movies, but just to kind of... It doesn't feel weird to learn that they're doing other things in between the movies, too. So yeah. It feels like it fits naturally within all of the original trilogy.
Not bad.
But that's what I'm reading, or kind of, going through.
All right. Well, this week we decided to break away a little bit from the norm and step back a little bit from doing events because this week we wanted to do a special episode for the movie Shang-Chi. I know that a lot of people for the previous 3 phases of the MCU have been, I guess, kind of spoiled in a way. Right? We have all the characters that we've all known for our whole lives: Iron Man, Spider-Man, Captain America, Hulk, and now we're in a phase where we're gonna get a lot of people that people have maybe never heard of, villains they've never seen.
Yeah, to be honest, like Shang-Chi, before I'd say maybe 2013, I had no idea it was even a character, and even in 2013 when I read about him, I was just like, so he's just good at kung fu? Like,
yeah.
that's it? I just kind of was like, why is this guy? Because when I read about him, he was it was during the I think 2013 like Avengers run, and he was a member of the Avengers. So I was just like, why is this guy just good at kung fu and on the Avengers? But yeah,
I didn't know about him until probably after that. Until I want to say when they announced that they were doing the movie. What was that, like 4 years ago? I think.
probably yeah.
Yeah, 3-4 years ago. I think I had heard of him before, but like I'd never like actually gone to go like check on it because it was like nobody like he's not in any of these other stories that I'm reading. He's not a name that we've just known growing up. He wasn't in any of the cartoons that I can remember of.
Yeah.
So it's just like, you're making a movie for who?
Yeah, it was just out of all characters that like you said, we were so lucky to have characters that, we either fell in love with or that we already knew. And up until this point, in terms of characters, like Shang-Chi has just kind of been, I don't know anybody who's actually, known anything about him. So it's been kind of hard to kind of get a gauge on like where everybody's at in terms of, are they excited for the movie? Do they care about, somebody who knows Kung Fu? And I'm glad they didn't use that as like the subtitle for the movie, like Master of Kung Fu or something, because it's like, nobody wants to see a Marvel movie that's just about Kung Fu, know. I'm glad they incorporated the Ten Rings into it.
Yeah, it's his origin story and the story that I haven't seen the movie, but the story that I'm assuming they're going to tell in the movie is very different. But yeah, luckily for you guys, I did the reading, so I can tell you guys what happened in the origin story. just so we're all not going into the movies a little bit confused. I read the origin stories. My brother and I both read separate individual stories, and we just wanted to give you guys just kind of an all-around, what's the word I'm looking for?
I guess kind of just a feel of the character.
An all-around feel of just who he is as a character, what his story kind of is. Like, again, we haven't seen the movie, so we don't know. We can't tell you everything that you're going to be seeing in the movie and who all the characters are because we don't know. But we figured that this is a good way to just get a good introduction to the character now that he's going to be a part. He's supposed to be a big part of the stories coming up.
Yeah, and like you said, what we read is not going to be exactly how the movie's going to be. I already know, like, just from the books, the 4 issues that I read, that it's going to be still the same characteristics and deep down the same character, but just based from what I've seen in the previews and what I read in the 4 issues, it's the values are there, but the character how he's represented in the books is going to be different than how he's represented in the movie, I feel like. Based off the previews, but I could be wrong when the movie comes out. I could be totally wrong, but when I was reading the books, it felt like I was reading something that was different than what I was going to see, which isn't a bad thing.
Even in the books or in the movie, from what I've seen in the trailer, it seems like he kind of has like powers, like kind of cosmic powers in a way.
Yeah.
And in none of what I read does he have any powers at all.
I think at some point in some books he gains the power to like create multiple versions of himself, so that when he's fighting, it's like 20 different versions, or like just 20 of him fighting rather than just one, or something like that. If I remember reading that correctly, I read that a while ago. But otherwise, yeah, he really has no other powers. He's just really good at fighting.
Yeah. So here we go. Like we said, a special episode, straying a little bit away from the events that we've normally been covering, and we're giving you guys a special Shang-Chi movie special edition episode this week. And we'll jump right into it. I read Shang-Chi's first appearance in Marvel Comics. Those were in issues special Marvel editions number 15 and 16. It's weird that he just popped in right there in the middle, and then oddly enough, they changed the comic name after issue 16 to Shang-Chi. So then it just became his comic.
Right in the middle of a run.
Yeah. But I guess before I start going any further, let me just say there's a chance that either one of us might mispronounce some of these names.
Yes.
We don't want to offend anybody. These are comics. The names were not given to us audibly at any point besides this movie, so some of these names we might just mess up. Again, if I do that, I'm sorry. Not trying to be offensive in any way. Just want to get that out there first.
And also, when these came out, they were, by today's standards, I mean, even then, they were definitely problematic with representation of the characters as well.
Yeah, some of the stuff is very offensive.
Yes, and yeah, they've changed a lot of that. Some of the characters don't even exist in the comics anymore. They don't represent anything. But yeah, we just want to throw it out there. We acknowledge that the origins of some of these characters are problematic and pronunciations may be messed up.
Problematic is, yeah, that's the best word to to use for some of what I read in this first appearance. And this was in the 70s, mind you. They were very...
Yeah, was it around like the time when like there's a lot of like kung fu and like a lot of those movies were like really big, so that's why the character came out, and a lot of those like a lot of those movies were brought over from China and other countries and just redubbed with American subtitles. So I think they took a lot of that kind of exploitation.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty almost exactly what they did, because the character. I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, that's almost exactly what they did here. So Shang-Chi, born to be the world's most fearsome fighter, yet also born to carry the cruelest curse in mankind's memory, because his father is the most infamous villain of all time, Fu Manchu, or Fu Manchu, however you pronounce it. It still seems kind of offensive. You'll notice in the movie that his father isn't Fu Manchu. It's the Mandarin, at least from what I've read. But we don't have an actual name for the character, unless it's just everyone just calls him the Mandarin.
Yeah, he'll probably have like a real name. Maybe I think I read that like the Mandarin is like what others have called him, but he doesn't necessarily go by that in the movie. Like he thinks it's more of like an insult than anything to be called that.
That makes sense, especially if after Iron Man 3 they were calling that guy the Mandarin the whole time.
Yeah.
And I could see why, if it's been a lifelong thing, he's just been fed up with this the whole time. But maybe it could be a thing where, because of the events in Iron Man 3, he's just like, don't call me that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the father in the comics, at least in the beginning of the comics, is very different from the one in the movies. One of the things I love about the panels in this first appearance is that he has like these speech bubbles that I guess they're like thought bubbles, but they don't, like, you know how in other comics they have the bubbles going up from the head and you can tell that they're thinking something. These are just like a nice rounded box with the words in it, but they're very clearly not speech bubbles. It's like a thought bubble, but for some reason when you're reading it, I guess this is just solely due to the writing of it all, but it almost feels like his thoughts are like poems. Like, it's almost like the writing in this is almost perfect, especially for being in the 70s and being offensive. But it is, at least to me, it felt like it was almost perfect. So he spends 19 years training under his father, having never seen the outside world, only to be sent out as an assassin right after his 19th birthday. I feel like Marvel just had the idea that 19 is when you become an adult. Because that's when they sent Namor out to start attacking the world too. So I think 19 is just that's when you become an adult at Marvel. The racist overtones in these first couple of issues hit hard. But not as hard as a karate chop that Shang-Chi used to kill an old man in his deathbed. He karate chopped him right in the face. And killed him.
That seems a little over dramatic. Like a punch to the face or something could easily.
Yeah.
I mean, but he is on his deathbed, so maybe just put a pillow over his face. But like a punch or a karate chop is just a little much.
Well, that's the thing. He's been trained for 19 years under his father. He'd never seen the outside world. And then his father sends him out to go kill his greatest enemy. And he gets there, and it's just some old man laying in his deathbed. And the guy's struggling to keep his eyes open. And Shang-Chi's just there like this can't be the guy that we're trying to kill here. But he's like, well, this is what my father told me to do. Bam! Karate chops him right in the face and kills him. It's implied that Fu Manchu is a serious crime lord / pimp. I'm pretty sure that's not what his son thought he was, but it's heavily implied that that's what he is. And Shang-Chi's mother is a white woman who informs him that he was born out of a loveless marriage.
Oh, so he's half white.
Yeah.
Huh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he's half white, and he comes from a loveless marriage.
Is that something you tell your kid?
I guess that's something you tell your kid once they hit adulthood.
Oh yeah, he's an adult at this point.
Yeah, he just turned 19. He's okay. So Shang-Chi finds out that his father isn't the man that he believes that he was. So he runs away. After he killed the man, he goes back home. He realizes that that man wasn't the evil person that his father had made him out to be. But he didn't realize that until after he had killed him. So he runs away. He goes to New York. He's living with the homeless people in Central Park. And then when he's there, he's found, a few days later, he's found by his best friend, a man who he grew up with, called Midnight, who was sent by Fu Manchu to kill Shang-Chi. Because Shang-Chi, basically, his father looks at it as the ultimate betrayal.
You said that guy's name was Midnight?
Yeah.
Is that the Midnight Sun? Or is that a different person?
No, it's a different person.
Okay.
But I will also say that Midnight, you can tell, comes from a racist. has some racist undertones to it. Because Midnight is just a black man. And the reason that yeah, you guys can read it. I don't want to get into every offensive piece in these comics because it ends up being a lot. And then they Midnight and Shang-Chi fight to the death. And then, as you can tell from this episode, Shang-Chi won. That's not a spoiler because, like I said, they switched the comic from Special Marvel Edition to Shang-Chi right after this issue. So,
this guy's selling like hotcake.
Yeah. So, rest in peace, Midnight. And yeah, that was just a little run through of the first appearance in those first two issues. Like we said before, there's definite racist. I can't even say undertones in this.
Just blatantly in front of you.
It's a lot. It hits you right in the face. There's no way that you can avoid it. And yeah, it's an interesting first introduction issues for him. I happen to really like it, besides the racist parts and the strongly offensive words that they use in some of it. But it was good. It was a good introduction, I felt like. It's from what I read, his run went from, I believe it was 1974 to 1983.
That's pretty long, 10 years.
Yeah, and then I guess the reason it ended was because the Fu Manchu character was originally created in like 1913 by, oh man, where'd the guy's name go? I'm sorry, I don't remember the guy's name, but Fu Manchu was a character created in 1913, way before this comic actually came out. And Marvel ended up buying the rights. Oh, sorry, here it is. 1913, it was created. Fu Manchu was created by a guy named Sax Rohmer. Marvel bought the rights in the early 70s, and then they lost the rights to the stories in the mid 80s, which is why the comic ended basically. And then they canceled the comic then, And then when they brought him back, they had to change who his father was, all that. They had to change the whole basic origin story.
It turned out for the better.
For the most part, yeah. And so, yeah, like I said earlier in the episode, my brother and I both read some individual Shang-Chi stories just to give you a broad understanding of who the character is. For all we know, the movies might pull from either one of these stories. It might not, but this is a good starting point, at least for the character himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll do mine. So, what I read was a 4-issue limited series called Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. And this is actually volume 2, because there was a volume 1, and I believe that was in like the early 80s that came out. And then that ended, so they brought it back just for this limited run. But the main character in this is Shang-Chi. And to be quite honest with you, the story itself wasn't the greatest, but it did give me a good idea of Shang-Chi and who he is as a character. Besides the whole karate thing, he spends a lot of the book not really expending or not being overly violent. You know, there was plenty of times when he easily could have took some guys out and not said a thing, but he gave these guys warnings. Any person he fought, he either told them, I don't want to fight, or, you know, we can just stop this right now. You don't have to do this. He gave people chances, and I think that kind of shows that's a good representation, I guess, of who he is, in that he doesn't use his skills for violence, or, well, I mean, he does use them for violence, but he doesn't do it just to be a dick or to, you know, beat people up because of it. He likes to feel like there is a reason and a way for everything, and that way may not be violence if he can find an alternative solution to it. The side characters in here aren't the greatest. I found that they were kind of boring in some aspects. But like you said, I may pronounce some of the names wrong. But one of the characters that, the main kind of focus or why the book is happening is Liko Wu, which is his ex-girlfriend or ex-lover.
Yeah, she shows up in my story too.
Yeah, she kind of sets up the whole reason for this 4 issues to happen. But there's also the Daughters of the Dragon and Sons of the Tiger, which, if you don't know comics, they're kind of like, who is that? And I barely know them as well. But the Daughters of the Dragon are Misty Knight and what's Colleen's last name? Colleen, forgot her name.
Yeah,
but anyways, they're a duo of they know kung fu. Misty has a metal arm. If you watch the Luke Cage show on Netflix, Misty Knight, the cop who helps Luke Cage out, it's her. And if you watch Iron Fist, Colleen, the woman who runs around with Iron Fist, that's her.
Did anybody watch Iron Fist?
Unfortunately, I did. I gave it benefit of the doubt, hoping it would get good, but it didn't.
We all make some bad choices sometimes.
And so, there's that, and then the Sons of the Tiger are basically 3 guys who have a magical amulet that allows them, when they fight, if they basically fight as one when the amulet is there. But, so, basically the premise of the story is Shang-Chi's ex-lover, she works for MI6, so basically the secret agency for the British. She was meant to go undercover and get into like the criminal underworld and figure out what's going on. But the issue opened up with her being chased by Razor Fist, who is, if you don't know, which I don't know why you would, is a villain with 2 blades on his hands. He has no hands, only blades, and he's a master of martial arts as well. So he's running after her, trying to hunt her down because she... they found out about her. They found out that she's a secret agent, and then that she's reporting to MI6. So, within the next couple panels, she tries to fight them off and, get away, but Razor Fist actually stabs her and like literally rips her apart, like body parts everywhere, and she's dead. Shang-Chi gets a call saying, hey, I'm sorry you had to hear this. Oh, he was actually on a mission for Captain America, capturing a escaped Crossbone who escaped from prison. And that's when you see that he doesn't really want to kill anybody. Crossbones is escaping on a helicopter, and he launches his snowmobile off of a hill into the helicopter, jumps in, knocks out Crossbones, and then he was just going to leave, but the pilot of the helicopter decides to try to shoot at him, and he uses Crossbones as a shield. But he says, he's like, I don't wish death upon anybody, but in this situation, I have to use his body as a human shield, and he captures Crossbones. Cap calls him and says, hey, I'm sorry you have to hear this, but I'd rather tell you than you hear it from someone else, but your ex-lover is dead. They found her. So he heads to London, where she was, and when he gets there, he meets another character who goes by the name of, or the character that he knows already, but this character is Black Jack Tar. and and it's a white guy, but I still feel like that name is suspect in some way. I feel like there's some sort of trap in there. But he's the director of MI6, and he basically tells Shang-Chi, don't worry about it. He's like, I know why you're here, but don't try to do anything. We know what's going to happen. We got this covered. Go home. And Shang-Chi is just like, okay, I got you. But he knows Shang-Chi's not going to listen. So he basically goes on the hunt to try to figure out what's going on. And one of his old villains pops up. He goes by the name Skull Crusher, and he's one of the leaders of one of the underground families, and he's trying to help Shang-Chi, but he's really not helping in a way, because the first thing he tells him is, hey, I know you don't want to hear this, but me and your ex are lovers, or we're lovers, and then before he tells him anything important, it's all just lead up of him and how much they were in love, and how much they loved each other, and all the sex they had. I'm like, that's not helpful for anybody in this situation.
My girl just died, dog. And now you want to tell me how much you loved her? And like all these crazy things that you guys are doing together?
And then so Shang-Chi's on the hunt for everything, and this guy keeps showing up and just like, hey, I need to tell you what's going on. And then he's like, we don't need to talk. You don't need to tell me anything. And they end up, Shang-Chi's going through, he finds that there's some sort of black magic involved with everything going down, due to a lot of the deaths that are happening around in London. He finds that Razor Fist is actually working for someone that you brought up. His name is actually, he goes by Midnight, but he also goes by Midnight Sun.
Maybe that is the same guy then.
Him and Shang-Chi are not blood-related brothers, but at some point...
yeah, it's the same guy.
Yeah, Midnight was... his village was torn down by Fu Manchu's, army, and then Fu Manchu took him in as a son, and ever since that, Shang-Chi and him have not had good blood. But we find that...
Hold on. In the origin story, when they found him in that village, he was a baby. They were getting ready to kill him because of how ugly his face looked. and then as a child, they made him put on a mask and keep it on 24/7 because they didn't want to see his face.
Yeah, in this, it looks like he's just wearing a full latex suit. That's what his outfit looks like. And even when he opens his mouth, it looks like it's not a full mouth. It looks like it just kind of suctioned in or something. It's so weird. But yeah, Shang-Chi finds out there's magic involved, and so that's where the Daughters of the Dragon and the Sons of the Tiger show up, because Shang-Chi doesn't have time to deal with the magic situation. He's trying to figure out who killed his lover. And so and this is 4 issues, but I don't think it really needed to be 4 issues. Basically, Shang-Chi finds out that Skull Crusher is trying to help him. He's trying to tell him that he actually made Miss Wu his next in line to be the leader of the crime family. If he were to ever die, she would be the leader. But she died before he did. And so basically Midnight Sun is using the dark magic and killing the crime bosses as part of a ritual to give himself the power and to become the most powerful crime lord in the underground of London, I guess Chinatown. They don't make it super explicit on what his full plan was. But so he kills Skull Crusher, and then that's supposed to be the sort of final boss of it. So he kills him and is supposed to complete the ritual. But when he kills him, he ends up that ruins the spell because Skull Crusher isn't technically the leader of the gang anymore. It's Miss Wu, since he made her the leader. And so when he kills Skull Crusher, out of his blood on the ground, a demonic, I don't know if she's possessed or just turned by evil, but she comes out of his blood and basically just wants to kill Midnight Sun at this point because he had her killed and then he killed her lover. And so she's trying to kill him, but Shang-Chi's just like, don't do this. Like, it's not you. It's the magic corrupting you. Like, I know you. Like, it doesn't have to be this way. And surprisingly, she's like, fine, I won't kill him, but our ancestors will deal with them. And so he gets taken over by all these ghosts, these spirits that come and they basically take him to the underworld and drag him down into hell. Razor Fist gets his razors ripped out of him, and I find out that they're actually part of, like, I don't know if they're surgically implanted into his bone or something. I thought they were just, I guess, like stumps on his wrist and then he just puts it on top. But apparently they're in his bone because he said, no, don't rip those off. Those are part of me. And she rips off his blades, and there's a gross sound that comes out of that.
Of course.
Eventually, but with that, MI6 comes back. They ask Shang-Chi what's going on, and he just like, oh, we took care of it. Everything's okay. And that's the end of it. So, really, it wasn't a great story to read. I thought it was kind of boring. There wasn't too much for a lot of the characters to do, to be honest with you. Like, the Daughters of the Dragon kind of show up out of nowhere. The Sons of the Tiger don't do much at all, so I don't really know why they were there. Shang-Chi's just kind of being a spy. And, like, the way I read him, like, the in my head, this could be a problem with me, or maybe it's just how they wrote it, but, like, he kind of speaks in that sort of, like, that quiet mystery, like Jet Li almost in like his movies, where he doesn't say too much, but what he does say is sort of just like that meaningful, like impactful.
Yeah, that's how like he speaks in like the origin stories.
Yeah,
like it's like very like like I was saying, it's almost like he's speaking in like a poem.
Yeah,
it's just like matter of fact. This is the situation, all this stuff. It's like this smooth little, like almost like a little haiku. Like I don't know, you didn't play it, but like you might have seen it like in Ghost of Tsushima.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's these spots where you rest and like you do like these little haikus. It's like a little mini game, I guess, kind of part of the game. But like in my head, that's how like I was reading like those origin issues.
Yeah, and like because of that, that's why I feel like the movies are going to be a lot different, because I don't feel like he's going to be that sort of like quiet, almost like mysterious character. Like just based off the trailers and everything you see, he has friends, he's living it up in San Francisco.
Yeah, I think it's just based off the trailers. It seems like the issues that I read might be a little bit closer to the movie. Maybe just bits and pieces of it, not the full story, but
yeah. But like I said, like it wasn't a great story. Characters were underutilized, but it did give me a good idea of just the kind of person he is and how he. Hopefully, we see this in the movie, but he's not willing to just beat up everybody. He's willing to kind of discuss things and try to find alternatives besides fighting. But he's still going to be a badass when he fights. And that's another thing in the book. Like, there was really no challenges unless he was fighting like a supervillain. Like, I mean, I know they're just goons, and like normally superheroes can just take out goons anyways. But I didn't feel like I feel like him fighting goons was just more of a okay. He needs to get to this point to find out this thing, not really like a reason for him to fight the goons. If that makes sense. Like, he's a master of kung fu. Like, it's kind of hard to make it seem like he's trying to do it. Like, that's easy for him to just beat up a bunch of like regular guys.
All right. Well, I can see why they made that a limited series.
Yeah.
It seems like they just wanted to get something out there just to have it. All right. So, the part that I read this week, was the Shang-Chi issues from starting in 2020. It's this short, limited series. It's just 5 issues. And just to get straight to the point of it, the beginning of it starts with, I don't know if everybody knows this character, but it's Fin Fang Foom. He's a dragon from outer space?
I think he's technically an alien that just looks like a dragon, but
yeah,
we'll go with a dragon from outer space for this.
Normally he wears shorts.
Yeah.
In this issue, he did not wear. He just looks like a regular dragon. So Fin Fang Foom shows up to wreck the Tianjin Prefecture. Sorry if I mispronounced that. That's in China in the late 1700s, and the sorcerer brothers Zheng Yi and Zheng Zhu, who is Shang-Chi's father. They are the Sorcerer Brothers. They show up to save their team, the 5 Weapon Society, and the city. So after that fight happens, they lose. Zheng Zhu ends up losing his younger brother, Zheng Yi, and all of the original 5 Weapon Society members. After that, Zheng Zhu developed a serum for longevity to make himself immortal. And then he decided to rebuild the 5 Weapon Society over time. And he did it with his 5 children instead. And then his children, we have... they don't really use their actual names. They just call each other brother so-and-so, sister so-and-so.
Are they technically not, like, blood relatives, or are they just kind of like...
This series... or these issues don't ever go into it really too much. I know one of the sisters, so there's brother Staff, brother Saber, or Sabre, however you choose to say it. There's brother Hand, who is Shang-Chi, sister Hammer, and sister Dagger. I believe throughout the story, it's kind of said that Sister Dagger has a different mother. They all are Zheng Zhu's actual children, but I think they might have different mothers. Now that the 5 Weapon Society is all of Zheng Zhu's children, one of them doesn't want to have anything to do with it. He doesn't want to fight for no reason. He doesn't want to do his father's bidding, and that's Shang-Chi. And he doesn't want to fight for no reason, but then ends up killing his father. So that's just, I guess it seems like every series that we go through with Shang-Chi, he kills at least one person and then feels bad about it. And then just decides, hey, this probably isn't the thing I should be doing.
Well, that's how you show a character has empathy. You have them kill one person, and they're just like, I don't like doing this.
Yeah, maybe this isn't for me. So finally, even though he had the longevity serum, it didn't technically, or Zheng Zhu had the longevity serum, it didn't technically make him immortal. It just allowed him to live a longer life I guess he was just aged at a slower pace. So when Shang-Chi decided he didn't want to do it anymore, he took out his father and then booked it to San Francisco so he could sling pastries in a bakery. But now that he's left...
You typed that exactly in your notes like that, didn't you? I feel like you just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I did. The exact sentence says, and Shang-Chi now slings pastries in a bakery in San Francisco. I couldn't let this whole thing go without me saying that. So now that Shang-Chi's left, his siblings are back in China, and they are fighting for the who is to be the lead of the Five Weapon Society. Now that their father is gone, the next given leader is their brother Staff. Sister Hammer is not okay with that. She thinks that she should be the lead. She's stronger. She's bigger. She feels like she's a better fit for the lead of the society. So what she does is attacks Brother Staff, and she ends up killing him. So now there's only 4 of them in the Five Weapon Society, and they have this mural on the wall with a flame lit in front of a symbol representing each one of the kids. So at the time, before he died, before his sister killed him, Brother Staff had the flame lit in front of him. But because he died, obviously the flame has to go to somewhere else, and they believe that their father is making that choice from beyond the grave.
Okay.
So what happens after Brother Staff dies is Sister Hammer thinks because she took him out, now she's obviously the rightful person to take the lead, but the flame then goes in front of Brother Hand's symbol, which is Shang-Chi. And he doesn't know this because he has no contact with anybody there. He hasn't seen any of these people. He hasn't seen any of his siblings for years, since they were probably kids. So, so we find out we're going back to San Francisco. We find out that Shang-Chi used to work as a spy in MI6 in England, and one of their current spies, which is probably, they don't say it, but it's kind of implied that she's a former lover of his. Like you mentioned in your story earlier, Liko Wu. She tells him that the Five Weapons Society is coming for him to avenge their father's death.
Like, I wonder how that gets, like, passed around, like... Like, his sister decides, I want to go after him and kill him. Like, does she tell somebody? And then that person... Like, shouldn't there be some sort of secrecy in this?
Yeah, who's the patch here? Like, who's the one that's just hiding out in the bars and stuff with all the info and just sending it out to people?
It is Pat. She just...
Yeah, Patch is working in China now. Just getting as much information as he can for MI6. That makes more sense. So she gets word that the Five Weapons Society are coming for Shang-Chi to avenge their father's death, which actually isn't the case, because his other 2 siblings, Brother Saber and Sister Dagger, are actually just like, they're just like chilled, laid back, like don't really have any issues with him. Like, so they actually make their way to San Francisco to warn him about the fact that Sister Hammer is the one that's coming to kill him, because she's, in her head, she's fully aware that if Shang-Chi dies, then she's gonna be next up. So
that's like having, like, okay, if I throw this thing, if I buy this thing, that means this thing's gonna happen, and then
yeah,
you're just.
If I buy this sweater, I know I'm gonna get this job. I know what's gonna happen, because that's not how it works. Like, so Brother Saber and Sister Dagger end up making it to San Francisco a little too late. Before Liko made it there first, told Shang-Chi that all of his siblings were coming to kill him. So Sister Dagger and Brother Saber ended up getting there just a little bit after Lyco had said something, and then they tried to explain to him, like, we are completely fine with you being the leader of the Five Weapons Society, but Sister Hammer says that she's going to find you, she's going to murder you, and she's going to take the lead. And he doesn't, like, necessarily believe them at first. So, like, they end up fighting in his apartment room, and then end up blasting a whole wall out the side of it, which is is a common theme in a lot of these episodes that we have. And so after the fight, they kind of hash it out. They Shang-Chi realizes that the two of them aren't there to actually hurt him. So the three of them actually team up to Shang-Chi's like, I'm not going to wait for Sister Hammer to come find me. I'm going to go find her and just squash the whole thing because I don't want the fight. Like, she can be the leader. Let her do her own thing. I don't care. So they all hop on a plane. They go back over there, or go back to China. And then as they're flying over there, the other siblings are kind of talking to him like, you know, like, maybe like all this stuff wouldn't have happened had you not like killed our father. And he's like, no, I didn't actually kill him. Like, I didn't do anything. But nobody believes him. And then they get out there. He meets Sister Hammer. She really like throws him off because she gives him like a hug. She's like, oh, I haven't seen you for so long, because the two of them hadn't seen each other since they were like maybe like 6 or 7, and they're like full grown adults now. So she's playing the whole like, oh, I haven't seen you in so long, come here, give me a hug. And he's falling for it. He's falling for it. She's like, oh, let's go sit down and eat, let's have dinner. He goes, and then she ends up poisoning him. And the whole time he's just telling her, like, I understand why you're upset, but I don't want I don't want this. You can be the leader. And then she poisoned him. And then when he passed out from being poisoned, he starts having like these visions of the ghosts of his uncle, Zhang Yi, who had passed in the big fight with Fin Fang Foom. And he's just his uncle's kind of leading him like to find his purpose in all of this. Like, he's not actually telling him anything specifically, but he's just trying to like lead him to things in like his visions. But it's taking Shang-Chi a little bit of time to finally like really understand what he's trying to say. And then he comes back or his brother and sister find him. They kind of like nurse him back. But he still has like these, I guess Sister Hammer like actually stabbed him too after she poisoned him. So he has like this big like wound on his like stomach, but it's not like bleeding. It's like opened up, and it looks like the galaxy's just coming through it.
What the hell? So
it's like dark. It's dark, and like there's all these like small stars and stuff in there. It was nuts. So but Sister Hammer has these. She has this power to make like these kind of like zombie looking things. So like
checks out. Makes sense.
Yeah. So now like she has all these zombies, just kind of like, she puts like all these zombies, like every chance Shang-Chi and his brother and sister get to like make some headway on finding her, like she ends up sending out these zombies, and then like they have to fight through like 80 of them every time they stop. So that's, they're struggling with that. Shang-Chi actually passes out again while he's fighting. And then he sees his uncle's ghost again, and his uncle tells him the story of how he actually died, and it wasn't Fin Fang Foom that actually had killed the uncle. Zhang Zhu had told all the children that he had killed. Oh, sorry, I should step back for a second. Originally, Zhang Zhu had told all the children that he had killed Zhang Yi and stole his spirit to use that as like the. He made it seem like he had done a mercy killing on his brother, and that his brother wanted him to kill him because he could use his spirit as a longevity thing, because without his brother's spirit, he wouldn't be able to actually lead the Five Weapons Society, because they were kind of like a yin and yang kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't actually how it came up. Like, he had actually, like, didn't want his brother to be a part of any of it. So he used the battle with Fin Fang Foom as an opportunity to actually just kill him himself. That way he could be the sole leader of the whole thing. So now, like, the Shang-Chi Sister Dagger and Brother Saber are all kind of just getting this news now at the same time. Or Shang-Chi's telling them from what he heard from his uncle. And now they are starting to believe Shang-Chi, and when he's saying that he didn't actually kill his dad. Like, his dad made it look like he had done that, because he's, like, just manipulative. So now they're like, okay, forget it. Like, that's old news. We need to stop Sister Hammer. So finally, Shang-Chi meets up with Sister Hammer. They're having this big battle, and then somehow Shang-Chi gets these, like, from that wound that he has on his stomach, it just starts spreading. So now he has, like, these weird, like, cosmic powers. And then he like, in the middle of their battle, his battle with Sister Hammer, he ends up transporting the two of them to another dimension where they can see their past, and then their dead dad, Zheng Zhu, ends up attacking the both of them.
So weird.
In this, yeah.
What's going on?
So they end up working together. Fighting their dad. They defeat him, but then they both have to kind of just come to terms with the fact that he died on his own and had framed Shang-Chi. Or Shang-Chi to look like he had killed him in the first place. But Sister Hammer's whole thing was, like, her whole livelihood was just the fact that she wanted to live up to her father's, like, legacy. Like, he's this big bad, nobody can stop him, and she had always looked up to him and tried to impress him. And then at one point she finds out that Shang-Chi had killed him, so her whole thing was just vengeance against him, because she, like, you killed the person I looked up to the most. But now that she knows that it was basically just Shang-Chi being framed, she is kind of struggling with, like, finding the meaning of life for herself now. So she's like, okay, Shang-Chi can be the leader, but I'm not going to be a part of the Five Weapons Society anymore. I need to go figure out my own life and do my own thing. And then she just takes off. And then Shang-Chi decides that he is going to finally take on the role of the leader, the supreme commander of the Five Weapons Society. And then that was it.
That was it? Like...
Yeah.
I feel like that... Do you know if it continues on in any other stories or anything? Or if...
At the end of issue 5, the last issue of this run, it said hang tight for more Shang-Chi stories coming soon. But I think the 5th issue only came out, like, I want to say 5 months ago or so.
Oh, okay.
So we probably won't be getting another story, so maybe the end of the year or early next year or something.
I'm looking on the app right now, and there's one called The Legend of Shang-Chi that came out, I think, a couple months ago. Or
okay.
It was at least released a couple months ago.
Then that's probably going to be, like, the continuation of him as a Supreme Commander.
I hope so. I mean, yeah, so what did you think of the story overall?
The story was good. It's hard with, like, these limited runs, because it's like sometimes it's like yours. I felt like yours probably could have been, like, 2 issues or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe just give us one long, like, one-off. We might have been fine with that. And then this one, at the end of issue 5, it's like, okay, why are you guys stopping at 5? Like, just like, okay, he's taking on the role of Supreme Commander. Like, just keep it going now. Like, you have the story here in your hands. Just do something with it. So I liked it. The artwork was amazing. I took some screenshots so I could post it with the on Instagram with the cover and everything. But the artwork is beautiful.
Yeah,
And
it looks
the
good.
story was, the story's. I like the story. I just wish that they had just continued to go through instead of it being like a limited run. But it's Shang-Chi's. His history is interesting, just because it seems like Marvel doesn't really, at least Marvel Comics doesn't really care that much about him as a character. Like, it seems like he has so many like limited runs, or like 10 issues, 15 here, 10 there.
Yeah, I think it's I feel like they just don't know how to handle a character that doesn't have power. I don't know. Like, he doesn't have powers. He doesn't have like a lot of, I don't know, like main like bad villains, I guess. Maybe the, being able to sell him isn't there. Maybe with the movie coming out, they'll be able to kind of change up the story and kind of make it reflect a little bit more of what's going on in the movies a little bit, and then we can hopefully get something out of that. But I don't know. I feel like their bread and butter is like superheroes. Like, I'm not saying that he's not a superhero, but like people who are made, in labs and radioactivity.
Yeah, I don't.
And,
I think was it I think it might have been last episode or the one before, where we were kind of talking about how like kids, like with I think it was the All Winter Squad, like where we were talking about how like they put like Bucky and Toro with Human Torch and Captain America, because it's like kids can read it and then they see themselves as like Captain America's sidekick.
Yeah.
But I don't think that kids do that so much now. Maybe.
Yeah, I feel like you don't really see too many sidekicks anymore. You see like main heroes.
Yeah.
And like if someone were to give me an option between the hero who can lift 100 tons and run super fast and all that, and then the guy who is like super good at kung fu, like I'm still gonna go with the guy who can do all that other stuff, because he may not be the master kung fu, but he can still fight and he has all this other stuff. Like, I think that just
that's
kind of makes them more appealing than Shang-Chi. And
that's why I'm excited for the movie, because it's like I know like a lot of the characters that we're getting stuff for now are like that, like Shang-Chi's obvious, like it seems like he's gonna have some powers in the movie, but I don't think it's gonna be any like. I think they're giving him powers more so he does have like that superhero kind of feeling.
Yeah.
But then we have Moon Knight coming out. Like obviously She-Hulk has her powers. Like, what's it? Kate Bishop is like, I guess Hawkeye has powers.
I guess they would kind of have to give him powers, because I mean if you really think about it, even Tony Stark, take away the suit, like he's just a normal guy. Like, he shouldn't be able to take, if he didn't have the suit, like a punch from Thanos or something would destroy him. And so it's like, I feel like they kind of have to give Shang-Chi just something, like even if it's minor, like maybe more strength or like more durability or something, but he has to be able to stand next to, whatever the big threat is going to be, and be able to like,
and it's like if we have
take hits,
because like we don't have Iron Man anymore. Like, we have Captain America still. We still have Bucky, but well, I guess we're gonna get Ironheart too. So like some of these characters that we don't have anymore are gonna be replaced. Like, we're gonna have we have a new Black Widow now. Like, he has to have something. I don't know. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Like maybe that's just us.
Nat didn't have anything other than her fighting skills. Granted, she could fight anybody and probably win, but I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see. It's
the crazy thing to think about is like, we've already since Endgame, we've gotten Spider-Man. What else? Loki.
Spider-Man, Loki, Black Widow,
WandaVision,
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
We're getting all this stuff, and it feels like we're already kind of like we've gotten so much content to kind of digest, but it's like
Yeah.
this is still the early phase or early part of the phase. It's like
Yeah,
we
that's
haven't
the
really
crazy
scratched
part.
anything yet. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's the like just the fact that there's so many different things leading to one thing, but also kind of like causing other things to happen too. Like,
yeah. Oh, I have a theory that I just thought of. I don't know if I read this somewhere and it's just been in my memory for like the longest, or if I just thought of it the other day because
go for it.
I was a little high, so I don't know if it's. But I was watching Guardians, and you know how in the first one Rocket asked for the guy's leg, and
Yeah.
then he asked for the guy's eye, and he
Mm.
was like he decided it was hilarious. And in the second one, he's asking for body parts, and in Infinity War, he's asked for body parts, and he just thinks it's so funny. What if, what if he thinks it's funny because wherever he came from, wherever they did the experiments on and the cybernetics and all that, what
Mm.
if there was others like him and they didn't know anything else besides where they lived and each other? So like they used to pull pranks on each other and like take each other's like cybernetic like legs and arms and eyes and stuff and hide it, and then like that would be the joke. So now he just thinks it's a hilarious joke that he just pulls on anybody, but no one else understands that it's just a joke.
He's just having the most fun, just like taking people's arms and shit.
And we just don't get it because we grew up like normal people, but he grew up with
That
cybernetics and stuff.
if that was the case, that would be hilarious. But yeah, so I guess we kind of went off on a MCU tangent there. But yeah, so Shang-Chi, through all this stuff, I don't know. Like I said before, we don't know if any of this stuff is going to be even part of the movie, if it's going to explain anything in the movie to anybody. But we just wanted to just give everybody a quick understanding of who he is as a character. And I'm sure we'll see some new stuff in the movie when this comes out. The day this comes out, I will not have seen the movie. I'm going the Saturday after.
I, I will have. What time? What days will this come out?
September 3rd, Friday.
Oh yeah, so I will have seen the movie by the time this comes out.
Yeah. But, yeah, like we said, just wanted to give you guys a quick idea of who he is as a character. Next week, we'll be back to our events like we normally are. And, actually, did you want to give a rating on this one?
Yeah.
Or I guess, you could do a rating on yours. I'll do one on mine.
Okay, so for me, I'll do out of 5 webheads, I'll give the story itself like a 2 webheads, but more for just the character development, I would give it like a 3.5. Just because there wasn't actually, I felt like you had to know who Shang-Chi was for the most part in order to kind of really fully get it. If you didn't know any of the characters or anything, you probably just would have read it and not really cared. So, even though I know a little bit about the character, I still give it a 3.5 overall. But the story itself gets like a 2.
All right. I'm going to give my story a 4 out of 5 webheads. It was a good story. There was a lot of action in it. They didn't waste too much time giving us like stories that we didn't need, or like all this filler just to get us to the next issue. Almost every page had something going on, and like there was no open-ended stories at the end of it. The only reason I gave it a 4 is just because like 5 issues was like, why? Like, why did you do that? Just keep it going. You want to make picks this week? This is week 5.
Yeah, this week you can go first.
I'm gonna go. Oh man, this is hard. You know what? I'm gonna go Midnight Sun.
He really didn't do much in my book, so I'm just gonna go based off of what you read and say okay.
Just because I do like the Shang-Chi stories that we've gone through, and I actually am really excited for the movie, but in the comics he does not have the will that I need to to possibly kill somebody if he has to.
I think I'm gonna go I'm gonna just go Shang-Chi, mainly because my team right now is full of non-powered, middle to old age women.
Yeah.
So
you have Aunt May on your team.
I need some. I need at least a chance.
You could have picked Doc Ock that episode.
Oh damn! I
like,
forgot we
nah.
could have picked villains.
Yeah, anybody. You got an ex-cop, an old lady who has fainting issues.
I think I took Daredevil too, right?
Yeah. Last week you took Daredevil.
At least I got Daredevil and Shang-Chi.
Yeah, you have a blind guy and a kung fu master. So
Hey, Daredevil is trained in martial arts too, so.
Oh, great! So they can train with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're fine. Maybe they can teach Aunt May something. All right, guys. This has been another episode of Webheads Down again. Week 5. 5 weeks we've been doing this, and it hasn't. We talked about this. We talked about beginning this for a really long time, and then once we started it, it seems like it's just been flying by.
Yeah, agreed.
And now, 5 episodes in. Next week, we are doing Submariner's Quest for KRANG. It should be an interesting one. It's going to be, Namor's back.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's my enthusiastic.
Everybody
yay.
Shout. Give us.
Yay.
Yeah. He's back, and he's not triangle-headed this time either.
Thank goodness. That was so creepy.
Yeah, it really was. And then you see the pictures that I posted with him in the suit? so you can only imagine what he's going to get himself into on the next episode. But, yeah, thank you guys again a million times over for listening.
Thank you for listening to this show, Webheads. We greatly appreciate it. And
Greatly.
We'll talk to you guys soon with some new books.
Talk to you guys next week. Peace out.
Peace out.